I ate. So
Oh, that's so sad. I
I ate
promoted this
before we
episode.
got on. I do have my chocolate though,
Okay, you had dessert.
but I ate literally right before. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of Unapologetically Black. I am your host, Rich, with RDI Financial, joined by my other host, Brittany, this
Gang,
way,
gang.
aka Ashley, and we have our special guest for tonight, Mr. Lionel. How you guys doing today?
What's going on? Doing great, man. Excited to be on Unapologetically Black. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel I'm unapologetically black, so I'm good.
Oh, as you
like
should,
I feel
as
right
you should.
Every day.
So every episode we start off with a mental health check-in just to make sure everybody's good. We do believe that mental health is one of the biggest things for our culture. So how was your day, Brittany? We'll start with you. How was your day going? How you doing?
My day was actually very chill. I had a meeting today at work. I'm supposed to facilitate my first intro meeting tomorrow morning. So I was trying to get it together and take notes on everything everyone else was saying so that I can say the same things tomorrow. Besides that, we took a nice little family walk. We were really, like I said, been enjoying this middle class white neighborhood in which we are living in. So we're walking the trails and having a good time. So it's been chill. It's been a good day. It's a great Wednesday. I cannot complain. Lionel, how you feeling? How's your day been going?
That day's been blessed so far, so I'm just excited. I love the mental health check-ins. That's awesome. I think I know this is a shows about entrepreneurship, and I think that's one thing about those who jump out into that entrepreneurship world. You do experience those up and downs, those highs and lows, valleys and peaks, right? And so I think that's awesome to have a check-in like that, So, but yeah, everything's going well. So excited about it.
That's good. That's good.
Rich, how's your day?
Y'all know me. Same old, same old, same old. Ain't nothing changed. Everything's going good. I'm the stay-at-home parent now. So
it's official. It's already started.
It's official. We did the change of command ceremony last night.
I'm dead.
Ceremony, let's go.
My wife, she works now. So she's a teacher at a daycare. So now I have to do all the things house related. I cooked dinner. I lied. I bought dinner. I did not cook it.
I was about to say.
I bought it. However, I did everything else, dishes and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
But it's cool. It's cool. I'm not going not to be sexist, but I don't understand it. Like, watch TV when I want, chill when I want, take a bath when I want.
I'm dead. I guess my question is anyone in the house for you to be stay at home?
So
are you there to pick her up after school?
That's a big piece.
Question.
It's a huge piece.
All of the kids are in school.
Okay, so you're
lucky.
You're just stay at home man.
I'm about to say you got to remove the dad part.
Right.
I'm lucky because Brittany has to be to work at 8 or 8:30 ish. Mm-hmm. She takes his kids to school because they have to be to school by 8, so I don't have to get up early.
So, sir, you're just unemployed.
You're not unemployed.
However, I take care of the dog. That's a thing, and I have to pick the kids up from school. And then listen to their mouth, get them snacks, do all this other stuff until
for about an hour before Brittany.
For about 2 hours.
For about an hour.
Okay.
2 hours, ma'am, because they get out of school. No, they get out of school 3 hours because they get out of school at 3:10, and Brittany don't get home till 6 o'clock. So 3 hours, which is a long time when you know my child.
So long.
It's a long time. So,
I'm proud of you. Kudos.
He's counting the commute time too.
Right.
Oh, that's like only 4 minutes because the school's across the street.
Oh, so you can walk.
I could if I wanted to. I could walk.
Choose to drive.
I choose to drive. But it's a change of culture. It's a culture shock. That's the thing.
I understand that. I absolutely understand that. I've always worked. So like when I went on maternity leave with Snuggles and then COVID hit, that like 2-year period of being in the house is the longest I've ever been in the house.
Oh.
Ever. I've worked since I could. Like from 15 on, I've been working. So
that's unnecessary. It's weird because I dislike that that's a thing in our culture where a lot of parents, I'm not saying that they were wrong, but I just disagree. But we force our kids to work because we need their money, right? Not because they want to work. Not because they want to work, because they want to buy their own little shoes or whatever like that, but because oh, good, you got a job now. You make $200, $300 a week.
Rent.
I need rent. I need light bill. I need groceries.
I'm gonna put the cable in your name.
What? No, sir. No. I've told me and my wife, we've already worked it through. My kids got the first 4 years of college. Boom. After that, pimp, you got to go after that. But to me, that's a decent amount of time for your kids to come in. You want to work. You don't need to pay rent. You can live here, save your money, do what you need to do. I got to pay the rent anyway, whether you live here or not.
Right.
Right.
So, and most of the time, teenagers don't want to be in the house. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to be around anyway. So they just need somewhere to lay their head down and then go on about their day. And so for me, I dislike that a lot of black kids grew up like that. Where they're like, yeah, I got to go to work because, my mama need light bill money, or something like that.
No, I feel that. I always wanted to work. At one point, my phone was off on my birthday because my dad paid my bill and he was out of the country. And I was like, never again. Like, if my phone's going to be off, it's because I didn't pay my bill, not because someone else didn't pay my bill. So, yeah, It's always been something I wanted to do. But speaking of working, like we said, today is about entrepreneurship, being an entrepreneur. So, by Google definition, for people who don't know, an entrepreneur is a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses, right? So my question to start off to you all, because I believe we all have been, for me, have been, because I've let my LLC lapse, honestly, but a business owner at some point in time. So what does being an entrepreneur mean to you?
So you go ahead, Lionel. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no problem. So for me, when you talk about entrepreneurship, really, you're talking about somebody who is solving a problem. I think that is the real direct answer to what an entrepreneur is. And if you want to scale a business, right, if you're looking to actually grow, you actually need to find a problem to solve. That's what's actually going to make you marketable, right? And that's what's going to make you last is I find this need that individuals have, whether it's international, whether it's local, whether it's national, whatever it may be. And I'm actually helping to solve that problem. To me, that's the most direct answer for what an entrepreneur is.
For me, it would be more of somebody that's willing, the person that decided to take the risk on themselves, right? So instead of going out and saying I'm going to work for, this person, that person, I'm gonna risk it and take it and put it all on myself, right? So that means that my ceiling, that I don't have a ceiling, it's unlimited. I can go out and I can make $4 a day. I can go out and I can make $40,000 a day. It's all based upon your grind, the problem that you're solving for people, what's the need for that problem, if it's a niche or not. And so for me, that's pretty much what it is are you willing to gamble on yourself to do what you feel is happy? Now, there's nothing wrong with a 9-to-5. If that's what makes you happy because you make $80,000 a year, you good in your 2-bedroom, you got the kids, you and your wife, y'all happy, you good, and you don't want to, because being an entrepreneur is not an easy task. If you don't want to have to think about everything that you need to do, and you be like, nah, my job tells me what to do. Like this report here, due on this date, done. You know what I'm saying? Then do that and be happy with that. And you know what I'm saying? And just manage your finances and budget your finances within that. But if you're the type of person like me that hate listening to other people, I hate being told what to do. I like to go to work when I want to go to work. So like today, I might want to get up at 6 and go to work. And tomorrow I might want to wake up at 11 and go to work. It all depends on how I'm feeling. But that's me. But I also take the risk and the understanding and knowing that if you wake up at 11, you've missed about 4 hours worth of work. And worth the grind. But, some people are willing to accept that on certain days. So it all just depends on what you got going on. But it's just a gamble on yourself. That's all it is.
Yeah. I like it. I like that too. I think that's a great answer, both of you guys. For me, I think the misconception when people think I want to be an entrepreneur, I'm just going to do my own thing, is that they're breaking away from working for someone, right? Like, I don't want to work a 9-to-5. I want to do my own thing, like Rich said, but they don't realize now you're working 24/7.
Right.
Like now you're putting your all into your business, and everything you do, especially if it is a business where it's just you're the sole proprietor, you're the only one working it, like you're in the beginning stages, like everything you do is tied to your business. When you step out, you want to look a certain way so that you can promote your business or whatever you're going to do. So it becomes a lifestyle more than a job at that point. And especially when you're building it and getting it to the point where you're profitable. So I think that's another thing to keep in mind when you think about entrepreneurship. It's no longer a job at this point. It is your life. It is your career. It is all encompassing. And it can get a little messy. There is, times where personal life and your business, can't coincide. And you have to make, a few difficult choices that otherwise you wouldn't have to do in the workplace. You can request that day off or, whatever you need to do. So you do have that freedom, but at the same time, you don't.
So I want to point out real quick before we continue that this is not financial advice. We are just giving out financial education. So please take what we say with a grain of salt, and please do your own research. Don't be trying to come back and say Unapologetically Black told me that I need to go do this and that's why I did it. No, pimp. This is just for educational purposes only. All right, we got to say that we got to let people know that, because then people be try to flip it back on us.
It's facts.
So Lionel, I kind of skipped the part where you tell us about you and what you do.
Yeah,
you want to circle back and tell us a little bit about what you do and what your business is?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely will do that. And it's just like to piggyback off, you ending with that disclaimer there. I think it's important because the reality of entrepreneurship is, I think what's really hard about it is when you actually put in the work, because there's a you really see that what kind of work you put in when you actually start working on your own, right? When you're working for somebody else, it's easy for you to kind of feel as if like, yeah, I deserve this, or I should be getting this, right? The truth is, you may or may not be actually putting in what you actually feel you should be getting out. But when you're an entrepreneur, it's like, no, you really will see like, man, I really did wake up at 11 and start at work, right? So did I really grind today like I said I was going to grind? But the hard part to me about it is when you actually are putting in that 12, 14-hour day, right? Day in, day out, and then you still like, and I'm still not getting over this hump. And I've been doing this for 3 months now. I've been doing this for 6 months now. I've been doing this for 9 months now. And it's not getting there, because the perseverance that's what the difference is between those that's going to overcome and going to push through to the breakthrough, and those that's going to fall back, right? And maybe go jump into something else and still don't make it there, right? Go jump into something else and still don't make it there. So, just piggybacking off what you say, I think that's important for those that are out there, that are listeners, and especially for us and our coach, because we need more of us owning our own stuff in the first place. Right. But you gotta understand that there's a cost to entrepreneurship. And I talked about this in my group. There's a cost to it, right? But going back, what I do, I'm actually a realtor out here in Houston, greater Houston, Texas area. So of course, if anybody's looking to move down here to the great state of Texas.
What part of Houston are you in?
I'm actually in Katy. Are you in Houston too?
I just moved from Katy to Humble.
Okay.
I stayed off of I-10 and I-10 and Park 10 near Memorial City Mall.
You're super close to me. I'm in the Cinco Ranch area, right? But you
you just another 10 minutes down there.
Yep. Oh yeah, right there. Right.
He's free all day. I moved on the opposite
side to Humble.
But he's in Humble, and the other thing learn about Houston when you get down here is everything is 45, 50 minutes away.
True.
Okay?
Everything.
That's the only thing. That's why they created it to where you really can stay in your silos. You ain't got to go nowhere to get what you need, right? That's important. But yeah, so I've been a realtor for the last 4 years over here in the greater Houston area, right? So that's what my main bread and butter is. Recently, I actually just started a podcast too as well, called the Lion and the Lambo podcast. We discuss biblical entrepreneurship, impact, and true success. Is what I call it, right? Because I believe entrepreneurship is about, you got to grow a business and make money, but it also should be impacting the people that you're actually doing business with. That's the whole purpose behind it, right? To actually have and leave some impact. So that's what I do.
Nice.
Definitely. And Brittany's not gonna ask me, but I'm gonna tell y'all anyway. What I do
I'm not gonna ask you.
She's not, because she's just that type of person. But no, I own a franchise in Ohio, which is why I'm allowed to be a stay-at-home dad. Fellas, you have to have money coming in to be a stay-at-home dad.
Tell them. Let them know.
Because if not, then you gotta rethink your priorities there, brother. But I own 3 franchises in Ohio. So I own a franchise there, and then I also own RDI Financial, which is a credit repair and credit and financial education company and consulting services. So I own those 2, which allows me to stay home and deal with the things that I need to deal with. My work is wherever my laptop is, wherever this thing is at, is where my work is at.
Are you still doing your truck, the gaming truck?
So no, I sold the gaming truck. I did own a mobile gaming truck for a little bit, and we ended up selling that just because we had a lot of stuff going on, and it was kind of hard to just book parties, do that, and then do this. We are looking into buying another business. We'll see how that turns out. Even make some numbers crunch and stuff like that, but we'll see how that works out. So just putting that out there. We may or may not. But for me, I definitely believe that what you do should impact people. But I'm more of it should impact your family type of person, right? If you're the first, like a lot of us millennials are, we're the first at doing a lot of stuff inside of our family. And then that's what I want people to do when they become entrepreneurs, the things that they should look at. Are you the first entrepreneur? Yes or no? Because if you are, then you take the brunt work of a lot of stuff that's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be the one that's, and I know I joke about waking up at 11, but if you're up at 11 o'clock, you started too late. And it depends on your job. Like when the escape rooms in Ohio, I can't wake up at 11. I can't, because the doors open at 11. So there, I'm up at 8 o'clock because I have to get things ready to be there to open doors by 11 and then closing doors at 8. But just because the doors close at 8 don't mean that I get to go home at 8.
Right.
It means since doors closed, I get to clean up and then I'm out of there by 9. So I'm really working from 8 to 9 o'clock at night, going back to the hotel, whatever I haven't, whatever paperwork I need to do, whatever emails I need to send, do that, and then try to get in the bed to wake up and do it again.
And don't let it be a podcast night.
Oh man, Brittany, don't let it be a podcast night, because if it's a podcast night, then I get done at 8. I'm running late for the podcast. Try to jump on by 8:30. Run from 8:30 to 10. Jump off, do emails, get in the bed, back up again, over and over again. It's a grind that doesn't stop. And what it is entrepreneurship will really test your resolve. If you are really built to do whatever it is you want to do. And what's crazy is you can turn whatever it is into a business, right? You want to sell cups. You can sell cups all day. People buy cups. How much resolve do you have at selling all the cups that you have? How good are you at it? And then when somebody tells you no, how do you react? When somebody says, nah, I'm good, I don't need it. Or when they say, nah, your price is too high, I'm going to go somewhere else. Because that's what be killing people. Because then they're willing to undercut their services and everything else just to make $1.
And undervalue themselves.
And undervalue just to make $1. And that's where people start thinking about like, oh man, I quit a 9 to 5 just to work 24/7. Yeah, you did. Because it doesn't stop. Because now if you don't make that quota, your own personal quota, you don't pay those bills.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So those are some tough things that I think about when I started this thing. When I got out of the Marine Corps, and I'm like, all right, I can go work a 9 to 5. I can go to school. I went and got my bachelor's in business. I can go find a corporate job and just go chill there and do that. But that wasn't what's making me happy. But my wife told me, she's like, hey, look, when you start this thing, we got bills that are due. So we need X amount of dollars coming in.
Right.
If not, you need to go back to work until those dollars come in.
Yeah, I think for me, I grew up in a family where entrepreneurship, my grandfather, my grandmother on my father's side owned a business. I grew up watching them sell office furniture, office supplies, stuff like that. My mom was also an entrepreneur doing the same thing. And then eventually, before she passed, is when I was working with her doing what I do now, which is job placement for, at that point, people with disabilities and former felons. And when she passed is when, so I promised her on her deathbed that I would keep the business going. So that's when I applied for my LLC and I got all of it together. And then I became a contractor with the state of Michigan. The only reason why I don't still have it is because I live in Maryland, and I was working remotely for the state of Michigan, and it just became taxing. Also, I took over her contract, so everybody who knew her, I was working with. So it was a bunch of, well, you sound just like your mom. And I'm like, mental health wise, I was like, yeah, I can't do this. Like, I need to take a break. So luckily I'm doing the same thing now, and I'm still making an impact on the community. It's just not under, my umbrella or my company, which was Lofton Legacy and Associates, because my mom's business was Martina Lofton and Associates. So I named it, after her, and I can always start that back up and do other things with it. But for now, that's where my standing is as far as being a business owner. But I have always grown up with that entrepreneurial spirit. I've always grown up with just my mother out there grinding and getting it together, and me seeing that as a single mother, her being able to own a business and be successful. I mean, successful enough where I wasn't struggling. We were in private school. We did whatever we wanted. I had ice skating lessons. Like, it was never like we never struggled. So to see her be able to do that successfully has always been an inspiration for me. But I definitely saw the hard work and dedication she had to put in to be there. So I mean, we weren't millionaires, but we lived a comfortable little middle class life.
Ice skating, you was good. You was Gucci,
right? Ice skating.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. But speaking of hard work, Lionel, you can start off answering this one. What are some hardships that you faced in entrepreneurship? What are some things that you just like, man, like this is, I wish I had known this before I had started?
Oh yeah, man. I think the first year was one of the hardest grinds for me, because coming from, I was actually working with the state of Texas actually before I jumped out and started working as a realtor. And so, working with the state, I mean, it's as peachy as I mean, we had one guy that got fired literally because he took his work truck from here to Chicago. I mean, with his family, right? I mean, but I've known people that have literally lost tens of thousands of dollars because they mixed the wrong fuel when they was checking the airport, engines and stuff, and they still not fired, right? So I'm like, you can't get fired from this job. It's just the peachiest job you can have, right? But it was comfortable, right? And I could see how you can lose your ambition, being there. And for me, I'm like, I got stuff I want to do and accomplish. So that first year when I moved away and started working on my own, it was a reality check to realize how much, like, man, I really relied on this check.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, now I was actually out on my own, and I'm like, man, everything is now on you. Just like you had mentioned a little bit earlier, right? And I remember the anxiety that I just had day in and day out, right? And it took a lot of prayer, a lot of conversations with God, right, to get me to the point to where now that anxiety isn't or what wasn't overwhelming me, right? Because, man, those first couple months, I mean, literally every day, when I woke up, only thing I think about was like, okay, how can I go make $1 today? You know what I'm saying? And so that was a really hard reality check. Then when I'm getting into the business, one thing is it's just individuals as people, right? You got to understand you're dealing with individuals, dealing with people, and especially when a sales business, right? You got to understand, right? That people will renege on you, right? And that's to put it nicely, right? And so I've worked with clients where, I mean, literally walk them through the full process all the way into the door, and next thing they know, they go and ghost the day before closing, for example, right? And that's something, yeah. And I mean, I remember early on when I first started working, my supervisor and I remember my mother asked me the same question. They was like, "Oh, you happy because I had property under contract, right? Somebody I was working with, and they said, "Are you happy? Are you excited?" And I told them, "I'll be happy when the check hits my hand." That's literally what I told them, right? And I'm so happy that was my mindset, because I'm like, I can only imagine how crushed I would have been if I had already counted those dollars, right?
Right.
I already considered that it was in a bank account. And so, that learning to deal, because real estate is a relationship business, right? credit, right? Relationship business, right? These are relationship businesses, right? And so you have to really learn how to build relationships and build trust with individuals that you're dealing with, especially as you're walking them through. This is one of the biggest decisions that people are going to make in their life, right? I mean, you talk about, right, who you're going to marry, right? Where you're going to live, like these are huge decisions, right? One of the biggest purchases that some people are never going to make a purchase as large as they make
as a house,
buying a house, right? You see what I'm saying? So it's you really get into people's business. It's a really intimate decision that people are making, right? And so that trust has to be built and it has to be there. And so that's something that I had to just learn over time, right? And it was hard, right, dealing with those up and downs of feeling that you got something in your hand and literally losing it, right? And how to deal with individuals, right? To still always continue to look out for their best interest and for their benefit, even when in this moment in time, right, you're saying, man, I really need a closing to come. You know what I'm saying? I really need something to hit, right? And I think that's what lead a lot of salespeople, right, to also be disingenuous, right? To also, just go down the wrong right, so they're not really walking in integrity because of those things, right? But that's not something that I want to do. So
yeah, man, I get it. That's exactly where I believe a lot of entrepreneurs sit at, is when that dollar amount is on you and it's not coming like you wanted to come, because you didn't find one of those niches that produces income really fast. Like you said, credit is a relationship type of person. Even though everyone has credit, everyone needs good credit in order to they can't even come see you unless their credit is where it needs to be.
Facts.
And so, but as much as we tell people that, it's still so personal to them that they would rather not buy a house than to show somebody the mistakes that they've made with their credit. They rather be like, you know what, I'm good. I'll live in an apartment the rest of my life. I don't need to fix my credit. And it's something that I try to get people out of the mindset of. Like, I'm not saying that it's easy to fix your credit, but it is doable, right? And I'm not saying that I'm not taking off bankruptcies. I'm not saying that we, taking off your child support that you owe. But if I can put you in a position to just buy a house, federal states and state laws have lowered where you can buy houses. There's some lenders, they'll go 620. There's some lenders that'll go 580. The VA has no requirement at all. So, we try to get people like, hey, look, man, some people are like, look, just get me to a 650 where I can buy a house and I'm good. And I say, you know what? I can work with that. At least you're being real with me, where we're not out here just I'm overworking, doing stuff that you don't need done. And then I build that trust with him. And I say, hey, look, you give me 6 months, I'll get you right there. And they say, okay, cool. And then you keep in touch with them. You always got to back up with them. Okay, cool. Hey, we 6 months in, where we at? Hey, man, instead of the 650, I know you asked for the 650, I got you a 720. And then at that point, that's when they like, oh, you know what? Well, let's do this. Let's do that. Oh, cool. I can do this now. And what they start doing is you start just building relationships. And what you start to realize, honestly, is that the more you do for the community, the more the community will do for you. And you don't have to worry about the money coming in, because the money's going to come because the person that you went and helped for free went and told 4 or 5 other people. Because she was like, look, he did it for me. Look, 4 or 5 other people come. And then they come, and then once you fix them, they go get 6, 7 more people each. And before you know it, you've built a reputation where it's like, oh, you need this done, go there. Oh, you need this done, go there. Same with any restaurant, like, oh, this food's good. Oh, yeah, go to this restaurant. They great customer service, great tasting food. Oh, you need your household? Hey, he closed in 7 days. I'm telling you. They be like, 7 days, 7 days, go to him. I bet you can get you clothes right now. He can get you 30 over asking. And right now, 30 over asking is real easy because people are literally just throwing their money out to buy houses. I don't know what's going on, but people are throwing their money to buy houses. But yeah, so to me, to me, that was one of that hurdle. And for me, it was just the idea of what people wanted. I overthink that kind of stuff, right? Like, what should I do that people want? Do I really want to? Do I want to do real estate? Like, oh man, you know how many people do real estate? I'm like, so I psych myself out. And I'm like, man, you know how many people do real estate? Like, all right, bro, do something else. Like, it's a lot of those. Or you know how many people, fix cars? Or do something else. And so I end up psyching myself out. And so to me, that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people run into. as well as they be like, oh well, somebody does that already, I can't do it. Somebody does this already, I can't do it. And then the last person that told me that, I was like, cool. You say you can't become a realtor because there's 50 million realtors in Houston alone. Go into Walmart, right? And then I want you to go to the bread aisle, and I want you to tell me how many different bread companies are listed on that bread aisle as you walk down. And I said, and I want you to Google that, and I guarantee you every net worth of all those bread companies is over $1 million. Everybody needs, at minimum, everybody eats bread. Everyone has their own personal preference for bread. Just because a lot of people do it, don't mean you can't do it. It's enough money out here for everybody.
Absolutely.
More than enough.
And different prices of bread too.
I'm telling you, because Sara Lee is expensive. But Nature's Own is cheaper. But Sara Lee be sold out.
Well, then you got the store brand that's 99 cents.
Yeah.
And they sell out too.
Right.
That's some that's at HEB, some that's at Whole Foods that ain't even in Walmart. Bro.
And they sold out. let a storm hit, and it's a storm that hit Texas every year. Let 2-3 hurricanes come by. Everything is sold out. Go down the water aisle, see how many water companies are selling water, and all of them sold out.
Okay.
And they just took the same water that's in your sink, put it in a bottle, and sold it to you. So yeah.
That's funny.
Man, that's funny.
So in today's day and age, with the pandemic creating more remote positions and then essentially taking them away, and the great resignation that they've been talking about, just everyone kind of quiet quitting and up and leaving their jobs. You even got Queen Bey telling you to quit your job and care about your mental health. Right. There's been an influx of people who have been entrepreneurs or trying to become entrepreneurs. Do you believe that entrepreneurship is for everyone?
Yeah, I do. Right. And even in the sense that, and what I mean by that, right, is that even if somebody is working 9 to 5, right, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it, whatever your job is, you still should be entrepreneurial, right? Because again, right, when I look at it, one, you're talking about solving problems, right? And you're talking about creativity. I mean, these are really these two things coming together. And so even if you're going to work somewhere, you want to find something where you can still be entrepreneurial in that position and in that field, because that's really what's going to give you that feeling of peace, right, and of fulfillment, is you being able to, you're not just going to a job, you just working just to work, right? You feel like you're actually accomplishing something. You're actually doing something that's being a benefit or that's impacting people, right? And for everybody, that could look different. That doesn't mean that for this one person, they can do that while they're working with this restaurant, right? You know what I'm saying? While they're serving guests that's coming, right? That gives them that sense of fulfillment, right? So it's not going to look the same to everybody in being entrepreneurial, right? But everybody should be entrepreneurial. When I think of, and my platform is all about biblical entrepreneurship, like I say, right? So when I look at the children of Israel and how God actually brought them into the land of Israel and established, one thing you see that God did was he gave every family a family business, right? Everybody has something that they could operate on, where they could rely on themselves and their family. I think there's something super important and super valid right there, right? Because a lot of times when we lean our weight on this company, even the government, whatever, right? There's literally nothing that, when that thing gets moved away, right? When it gets snatched from under us, I mean, people literally are falling with no net to hold them up. And I see it as we work with people in the community, like, man, the dire situations that they end up in, right? And it's really, honestly, it's really crazy. It's really sad. You know what I'm saying? But so for them to be able to have something of their own, that, guess what? Again, you got to put in the work, you got to put in the effort, you got to put the energy into it, right? But now it's based on your work and effort. It's based on your energy, right? It's based on your connection. It's based on the skills that you are building, right? And you can go and establish this business. And it may not be, this international brand that you build up, right? It may be this local mom and pop that, guess what? This community just loves, right? And you continue to be a blessing for this community in this specific area, right? With whatever it is that you do. But I definitely think that entrepreneurship is for every single person, right? Every single individual, because I look at entrepreneurship as something that's bigger than just the thought process of just establishing a business.
Okay. I say if we talk about entrepreneurship in a sense of a feeling, then yeah. But if we're gonna talk, for me, if we're gonna talk about it in a sense of its definition of creating jobs and stuff for for other people and solving a major problem or solving a problem for your community, my answer is going to be no. Everyone can't be that because everyone does not have that drive to say, you know what, this is on me. I need to put this whole company on my back, especially as a startup. If you weren't given the funds and the means to just get going, you have to put the whole thing on your back to drive and go. So I would say no, it's not for everybody. Also, a lot of people don't want to work a full 9 to 5, get off work, and then be like, man, I need to go do this, this, and this. I need to do this, this, and this as well. A lot of people, their job is already taxing enough. That's just what they want to deal with. Now, I believe everybody should have maybe a side hustle. Not necessarily be an entrepreneur, but side hustle. Like if you sell plates, you don't really want to own a restaurant, but you sell plates because you can cook in the neighborhood. Maybe on Sunday dinner, you create a problem. Sunday dinner. And the problem that you're solving is you make Sunday dinner plates for everybody in your neighborhood. You charge $7, and before you know it, that just brings in that extra $300, $400 a month that you need to cover the one bill that you got, and then you're good with that. To me, that's not an entrepreneur. That's just a side hustle. Doing hair in your house, side hustle. The candy lady that used to live in your apartments with the cool cups and the pickles and all that, side hustle.
We had one at our last apartment. The kids loved it.
That's what I'm saying. Side hustle. So, but to me, nah, everyone can't do it. And I would be very careful with people listening to Queen Bey telling y'all, quit your job, focus on your mental health. That sounds cool. Understand that Queen Bee is a billionaire. All right. She don't have to work another day of her life, and she is set. Actually. Her kids don't have to work a day in their life, and they are set. Now, mind you, they don't have to, but they do. Mm-hmm. They work. They probably work more than anybody else because of the grind that they put in for their brand. It don't look like they work because you think that their brand is taking pictures and going out and being flashy, but you don't see the behind the scene works that they have to do. Mm-hmm. So I would say keep your 9 to 5 until your side business or until your hustle pays your monthly bills. Now, once it does that, then you can quit your 9 to 5 and focus solely on that. Mm-hmm. But until then, don't just be like, you know what, Jesus got it. He said he gonna take care of it. Yeah, the first gonna come, and you ain't gonna have the money for your bills, pimp. And Jesus gonna look at you too, and he just gonna be like, well, why would you quit? No one told you to do that. Like, don't quit. And don't. I understand that mental health is a very serious thing, but I would say more focus on changing jobs rather than quitting.
A healthy work-life balance.
Change the job. Sometimes, and I'm gonna say it, I know a lot of people don't want to say it, but sometimes we ourselves need to change the way that we think. Our work life is so hectic, maybe because we have a bad attitude about a lot of stuff. Well, why I gotta do this? Well, why I gotta do it? Well, why can't they just do this? I've been here 10 years and they don't give me this and they don't give me that. Sometimes you should just change the way you think. And before you know it, your work life isn't as hostile as you think. When you walk into the lobby and everybody else walking out because you walked in, you brought in the bad vibe. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we need to just do a little bit of inner thinking, inner work on ourselves and be like, okay, cool. Why is this job so hostile? Why don't I like it? Do I not like it because I'm not happy? Or do I not like it because every time I come here, there's a problem between me and so-and-so? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So I think there's no straight answer. There's no right or wrong answer either. But I just don't think it's built for everybody just because everyone doesn't have the drive to do so. A lot of people can only function when they do what they are told. Yeah, I've seen that firsthand. 10 years Marine Corps. A lot of people, 90% will only do the things that they are told to do. Nothing more, nothing less. Mm-hmm. If you if I say, hey, bring me the light bulbs or take the light bulbs off the truck, Now, a normal person would take them off the truck, go sit them on the thing so that they can be scanned in. Nope, their kids would literally just take them off the truck and sit them on the ground. That's it. Go ahead.
So it's the question: should or can everybody be an entrepreneur? That I don't know if I understood it.
I don't know how I worded it.
I would say, can everyone do it?
Okay.
Maybe they can. Yeah. Should everyone do it?
Right. If it
should
can,
everyone do it? No.
I agree. If it should, right, then that's where my statement is coming from, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a lack of control that individuals have when they don't have, even this person that has the side hustle, right? They have something that they have access and they can hold on to, because they can't affect what their job, what their boss, they have no ability, have no authority to affect what decisions they make, right? You know, Google and Facebook right now about the, lay off some folks. Mm-hmm. They can kick and scream as much as they want to at the end of the day. And some of these people probably have built up years in those organizations. They can't affect when they make the decision and decide to say, we're going to lay off, right? So we can actually skim, a little bit more profit off the top. They have the ability, the authority to do that, because guess what? They're the one who owns it. They control every single aspect about this business, right? When you don't control something in your life and experience, then guess what? You also are relinquishing authority so somebody else can do that. And so that's one reason why, for me, I'm like, hey, you being able to control that is very important. And when you talk about also goals, right? What if somebody sits down and starts saying, what are your goals for your life, right? And there are many people, like you say, who can't do it. They can't do it because they choose not to, not necessarily because they don't have the ability, right? And it's because, like you say, right, they're lazy. But that's a totally different thing in conversation. But yet, most people, when you talk to them about their goals, their desires for their family, for their work-life balance, for the things they want to accomplish, things that they want to see, dreams that they want to see come to fruition, or how they want to impact people around them, right? When they start really naming off all those things, the reality also that they have to come to realize too is the vast majority, maybe there's a handful that can do it, but the vast majority can't do that through whatever they're doing for work or for their job. It's impossible. Mm-hmm. They can't do it. You see what I'm saying? So if they do accomplish it, they have to at least have something on the side that they're supplementing, right, with their job itself, right? Or if they want to scale to that place, and it doesn't have to be a monetary goal that we're talking about, right? It could be a time goal, like you have this time freedom that you have access to now, right? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But that time freedom opened up not because of this job, right? It's because of something that you established outside of that, right? Now we got to be wise, obviously, like you say. It don't mean about to go jump up right now and just be like, all right, I'm out of there, right? No, that's not wisdom. You know what I mean? That would be stupidity. You know what I mean? But if you're trying to get to this goal, right, you also have to say, well, make a plan. How am I actually going to get there? And not only how am I going to get there, do you want to get there when you're 77? You know what I'm saying? Or do you want to get there when you're 37 or even 47, right? And what do you have to do to actually get there in time to actually enjoy it yourself with your family, and not just simply to pass it on? Passing it on would be great too. If you get there when you're 77, praise God, right? Because guess what? Now your family is set up for the future to be able to do something better. But if you can get there, you're 47 and enjoy it with your family, man, that's even better, right? If you can get there at 47 and enjoy it with the community, that's even better, right? So that's the perspective I'm coming from, is more of a should, right? Because now you control a lot more than when everything is relinquished on somebody else, right? And you can kick and scream and fight, but guess what? You don't have the ability to change. You don't have the ability to do anything, right? If you're on your own, guess what? People got laid off over there. Guess what you can do? You can go hire some of those people, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you say, you can create jobs, right? You can work solo. It doesn't matter. You get to make the decision because it's yours, right? You know what I'm saying? But when it's not yours, guess what? You can't make no decisions. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the opposite side of that too. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Definitely. Like we were talking, I think it was a few episodes back, Black people, we got to own stuff. If you don't own anything, you're wasting your time. Yeah, we have to own stuff. whether no matter what it is, own a business, own real estate, own something. If you don't own it, you have no control over it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, somebody else will.
Yeah. So that segues into my next question. Why do you feel that Black businesses have such bad reputations that no other minority businesses are known for?
Wow, that's a great question.
Yeah, we can get real petty on this.
Okay, so ask one more time. Let me make sure I understand.
So I said, why do you feel Black businesses have such bad reputations that no other minority businesses are known for?
Gotcha. So to be honest, right, I think it just stems from racist viewpoints and thought processes that really have still lingered, right? And this is in our community and outside of community, if we want to be honest. I've talked and had conversations with friend who is very vehement, like, hey, I don't want to do business with Black people, right? Like, that makes no sense, of course, right? We understand that literally makes no sense, right? Because you just say that Black people's their products and services aren't as good, right? Are they not as honest, right? So you telling me Brett Favre ain't just go steal money from Mississippi? Like, I don't understand. What are you talking about, right? You know what I mean? Like, no, it has nothing to do with that, right? It's literally a mindset that has trailed the same thing from Willie Lynch from years ago that's still around in our community, right? And it's festering because we see it, guess what, outside our community as well. And so we're bombarded on both sides, right? From other individuals, right, in our community, but also from whites, right? Also from Arabs, from Hispanic community, like all around, we see this thought process that if it's a Black, that okay, well, it can't be as quality, right? How, why? Based on what information? Based on what? There's literally no truth to it, right? And there's literally nothing that they're basing it off of, right? And it makes you so upset because you have this thought process without even giving the service a chance. Like, this is before you even have tried something. This is before you even ate at the restaurant. This is before you even bought clothes and tried them on, right? Like so that's how I know, right? It's a mindset and a thought process that has been passed down from previous generations, right? And the only thing I feel that we can do, right, is we got to continue to band together, right? This like We Buy Black movement, right? Making sure we look out for other Black businesses, right? When we're seeking to do and work and partner together, right, to lift them up. Because as people start to, like we talk about this relationship business, right? This word of mouth. As people start to say, hey, like, I'm working with Brittany, I'm working with Lina, whoever, right? And I see they do good work, like, being able to say, hey, pulling along others, right, in our community too, and saying, hey, let me suggest this service, right? Because now you got a connection with me and you understand the quality of the service that I have, right? And so then we can bring other people along. And we also have to continue to make quality products and services, right? But also, even in saying that, not from the mindset and thought process that I represent all other Black people, because that's very damaging, right? I think we're probably the only community that has that mindset and that thought process. And again, this is something that lingers from in the past as well, right? So that when we see, I mean, even when, to be honest, right, you hear some stuff on the news sometimes, somebody shot something, did something, the first thing you think about is like, I hope it's not a Black person, right? Because right, the thought process and the mindset that lingers, right? And so if I have that thought process mindset, I can imagine what other people are thinking, right? But it's because you want the community as a whole to be uplifted and be seen in a better light, right? And so we still got to put out quality, right? But I think we have shifted from my mom and my aunt's generation to where it's like, hey, you got to go out, you got to work double as hard. You got to work 3 times as hard as them to get where they at. And I feel like now we're at a place where no, we need to work just as hard, but we need to understand, like, we need to be unapologetically Black, right? And understand that I'm working just as hard simply because I want to put out quality products and quality service, not because I'm trying to prove, right, that I'm trying to hold up the rest of the Black community. Right. No, you know what I'm saying? No, because that's damaging, man. That's damaging to our mindset. That's damaging to our hearts to feel like we got to hold the weight for everybody else. Because there's Black people who don't have good quality products and services. And that doesn't mean that Black people shouldn't be worked with, because there's a whole bunch of white people out here who ain't got. great products and services either. There's a whole bunch of Asians that you shouldn't go to their store either. And it has nothing to do with the rest of the Asian community. But you never think like, because this Chinese restaurant is horrible, that you wouldn't go to the one down the street. Nobody thinks like that when it comes to other cultures. But when it comes to the Black culture, that's how we think. Like, I'm not going to go support this other store, this other restaurant, or whatever, because this one was bad. Now we got to get out that mindset and thought process, and we got to give people second chances, because the truth is we've shopped at stores that's been horrible before in other communities. Like, if we are honest, we know we have. But when it comes again to the Black community, and like, so that's why I say we got to do it, because we can't. It's just like, and it's the last thing I say before I close, right? It's just like my alma mater, right? I went to Prairie View, right? It's you in Houston, right? So you know PV. You know,
the 13th grade.
You know PV, baby. You know what I'm saying? We produce productive people, the great and illustrious, you feel me? But now for PV, right? Just this snapshot, catch what I'm saying, right? For years back in the day, they had like an 80-game losing streak, right? In terms of football, right? And so there's so many people who that's what they remember. That's the only thought process they have in their mind. Now, in the modern area, though, PV has won championships. I mean, we have some of the best athletic programs all across sports in the last decade, right? But again, people only remember the thing before. And I'm like, guess what? It's not, that mindset not going to change from other people until they first change from the people that's here in this organization, in this university, right? That we see ourselves different first, and we project it outward as different, right? Then the respect would come back the other way. And that's the same thing with the Black community. Like, we got to start respecting our own people who've been putting in work, who've been building their businesses, right? Who've been down for the culture, down for the community, right? Who's seeking to do for us, right? And support them. And again, we're not just go supporters, right? Not just to support. No, you support because they provide a service that you actually need, right? You know what I'm saying? Because then you're just propping them up for no reason, they're going to fall, right? You support because I actually need this service. And then you share them with other people who need that service, right? But give them second chances, right? Don't just let them fall. Like, give that feedback, right? So that they can help grow. Because ain't no business start off what it was supposed to be. You look at PayPal at first, PayPal ain't like PayPal was now. You look at everything, you look at Facebook. I remember when Facebook first came out. It ain't what it is now. You see what I'm saying? So everything starts off and needs to grow and needs to get better, right? And has those trial periods. So we got to do the same thing with us, man, and change the narrative, right? And stop having this mindset and thought process so we keep sharing this foolishness as if Black people are hard to work with. Nah, we got to stop that. So
yeah, I think that's a terrible narrative. That's always, no, you're fine. That's a terrible narrative that's always put on Black people, is that we're hard to work with, we're difficult to work with. And that's like the one statement that's thrown on to Black people that essentially makes them, not employable. When you look at it from like a Hollywood's perspective or stuff like that, they say that about actresses specifically, but actors as well who are Black, so that they can no longer work and they get blackballed because they're viewed as being difficult. And from an entrepreneurial point of view, it's the same. It's, their customer service isn't as good. And I think a lot of that also comes from the crab in a barrel kind of mindset, fighting each other to get to the top as opposed to helping each other get to the top. And I feel like in a lot of instances, the employees that we bring in as Black business owners may not share that same view and vision and dream to push us forward, just because we have been taught that, it's not each one teach one. It's I got to be better than the next person. So I have to, I'm going to just get this check so I can be out the door and do my own thing, as opposed to this Black man has a vision. He's trying to get this business going. I'm going to do what I can to help while I'm here, and then, move on and do something for myself. So I think that's also an issue within the community, that mindset.
Yep.
And that's a Western ideal too.
Yeah.
That's true. That has nothing to do with Black people, right? That's really has something to do with the colonizers, to be honest. If we want to be honest.
But it's what the colonizers taught us.
It's a Western ideal. That's a Western mindset of every man for himself and all that stuff. So that's something that we're seeking to unlearn, to say, we actually love how it is more back east, to where it's more communal thought process and mindset. So again, even how we think about that got to change, right? To think about like, oh, well, this is just Black. No, No, look over here. Did the English do that? Did the English not do the same thing? Does the Irish not operate like that? Did the Welsh not operate like that? Yeah, because it was a Western mindset, right? We grew up in a Western culture, and so we imbibed that mindset, right? So we just have to unlearn it because we're seeing that we're not the dominant culture. So for us to thrive, we definitely can't operate in that same way, right? So I just want to say that because I'm like, people will even look at that as like, oh, that's an issue. It's not necessarily an issue. It's just that's what you were taught. You see what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely, no, it's instilled.
Nobody say white's a crab in the bucket. We never say that. You see what I'm saying, right? So, but they
because
operate the same.
Because they tell us that it's every man for himself. It's a dog eat dog world.
Yes,
they tell us that. But then on the flip side, they will help each other in their community and what they're doing. They will literally band together and be like, all right, cool. Hey, my nephew just graduated from Yale. Can you get him an internship at so-and-so law firm? Oh, no problem. Internship done. Oh, he needs a job here? No problem. When the Asians come over from whatever country they're coming from, and they come to America and they got a whole Asian town, guess what? Oh, you need a job? Don't worry about it. We already got supermarkets set up. We already have gas stations set up. We already have all the businesses that we need set up. You need work? We'll put you to work. You want some money? They'll put their money in a pot. You want to start your own thing? We got some community money right here. We'll help you start your own thing. It's only our community that's been taught that you got to get it on your own first. Then, and it's like that's not it, man. If you and your boys, it's 5 of y'all, and y'all credit is right, it should be no reason why y'all don't have a few properties running down the street. Buying them, moving them, it's 5 of y'all. You don't need 15, you don't need 20. 5 of y'all that all have decent credit with good income that come in and say, you know what, we're gonna buy this house. We're gonna buy this house, we put it up there, we sell it, boom, next house. Now what happens is as you're buying it and you're holding it, now you realize that y'all own the neighborhood. Literally own the neighborhood. And that's how you did it. By banding together, you and a few people went out and you started buying pieces of your neighborhood. Boom. Now you own it. So yeah, I hate the statement of like all black people always overcharging for stuff. They always overcharging for stuff because we don't tell Gucci that. We don't tell Prada that. We don't tell Louis Vuitton that oh man, y'all are overpriced. Nah, they just go out and they just buy. Oh, you want $700 for some rubber shoes that was just made? Yeah, cool. We'll drop it. $700. No problem. But because this person over here doesn't have the same recognition, you'll tell them that they $100 shoes. Nah, that's overpriced, bro. You should sell that for $40. What's wrong with you? Why you like? No. First off, he don't get it at the same price at wholesale as some other people, right? So he has to buy it just about even, just like you do. And then when he sells it, he has to sell it a little bit higher to make a profit on it. I went to CIAA in North Carolina with my wife, and it was all black community, and they had these really nice African jackets. It was $150. I bought it on the spot. I didn't ask why is it overpriced. No, it was a nice thick quality, and I still got the jacket. Real nice jacket, worth every penny. Put it on, nice, big, and bulky, keeps you warm. Put my hands in my pocket, and I keep pushing. Thank y'all for the jacket. This is a dope jacket. I love it.
Right.
And I think if more people decide to like, you know what? That's a dope hoodie. That's a dope sweater. I like it. I'm going to rock it.
Right.
But I'm going to buy one. Now, anybody tell you to go out and buy seven of them, I buy one. I'm going to let my boy know. I'm going to buy one. Before you know it, this black-owned business can be as popular as Gucci, as so-and-so. Because we go there and we shop there and we help to build their brand. Rather than making people wait to say, oh, you have to be a celebrity. You have to be proven before I buy from you. Which makes I mean, to me, sometimes it just don't make sense. You know, you have to be a super brand name person for people to buy your stuff. Why?
Yeah, it's backwards.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. And price is based on value, I would say too, right? Like, you went and got that jacket for $150. I could see the same jacket and say, man, look, I get that from you. You pay 150, I give you 300 for it, right? Because I value the jacket at that price point.
Mm-hmm.
So um, price is based on value, right? And so we got to remember that as well. And I would even say, for us, in our one, I think Black people as a whole in general, we charge less than we should, not more, actually. Personally, is my opinion. Um, and I'm also thinking that when we talk about price, and we talk about our target audience and our target market, we got to think that, everybody that necessarily is, coming and looking at this thing isn't my audience either, right? And so there may be people that come and say, yeah, this is $100, you should sell for 40. That's just not your target audience, right? You also got to
Right.
who you're actually aiming at and who you're actually seeking to sell to. And at the end of the day, you got to go after them, right? And so that's another thing that I would say for us to also consider too as well.
Right. And that's 100% true. So our last question, and then we're gonna wrap it up. We know you got some things to do tonight. If you had to give any advice to a new person starting off, whether it be real estate or any entrepreneur advice that you give for somebody that wants to start, what advice would you give them?
Wow. If I had to give them one piece of advice, there's a passage in the book of Luke, where Jesus talks about which of you intending to build a tower, right, does not first, right, count the cost whether he has enough to finish what he start, right. And so if I had to give any advice, I would say the same thing, that you count the cost, but it's not just the cost that's a financial cost. And I think that's what a lot of people think about when they talk about entrepreneurship, is they're just thinking about the fact of, okay, well, how much is it going to cost me to start my business, right? To get my LLC, I got to go get my EIN. I got to, try to figure out how to get business funding. All stuff. That's great. That's a part of the cost that you should count, right? Finances is one of those things, but there's an emotional cost to building a business, right? Like there's a mental cost to building a business. There's a social cost to building a business, right? There's costs that are outside of just the money aspect. And
Right.
you have to sit down and think, okay, what is this going to cost me in terms of my friends or my family or my community right now in this next 6 months or next year while I'm building and getting established? What is it going to cost? And am I willing to actually take on that burden, right? What is it going to cost me mentally, right? How am I going to have to change my mindset from where I am now to actually where I'm going to be when I get to this certain place, right? What obstacles am I going to have to go through emotionally, right? Because guess what? These are all things. Guess what? No matter whether you count at the beginning or not, these are things and obstacles you're going to have to go through. So if you can understand earlier at the beginning what the requirements are in these different areas as you're walking through it, it's going to really help you to be established and understand the type of perseverance you're going to have to push through to victory. Because there's going to be small victories here and there, but that goal that you set out before you, right, it needs to be, it's going to cost you something to actually get to it. And the last thing I say, right, is even when you're making goals, and I tell people this all the time, if your goal is big enough that you can accomplish it by yourself, your goal isn't big enough, right? You need a goal that's big enough that it stretches you so much that you say, man, I have to actually get connected with other people and to actually see this be done and be accomplished, right? That's the thing that's going to stretch you, right, and actually make you become another person and actually get it done. If you can stay the same person and accomplish the goal, you need to create another goal, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you need to actually be becoming another person through the midst of this process. So that's my advice.
I like that. That was great.
I would
go ahead,
go
Rich.
ahead. And I was gonna say I would definitely say that along with the goals, you need to have a solid plan, and not just a plan of, oh yeah, I want to sell cookies. No, like what does selling cookies look like? Look, I want to go to Mrs. Bakefield's box house. I'm a wholesale her cookies, and then in 4 months I'm gonna go from that to doing this and upgrading there, and then plan it out, because a lot of people get to their first plan A, and then when plan A don't go right, they're like, oh well, guess I can't sell cookies no more.
Yep.
Like, oh, Miss Bakefield, she out of business. She don't sell cookies. I guess I can't sell cookies no more. No, plan A, plan B, C, D, E. What happens, and I tell people, be optimistic about stuff, but be a realist. You know what I'm saying? Don't be pessimistic about it, but you have to be a realist. if this does not work, what's your next step? If you fail flat on your face, what's the next step? Even if you do good for the first year you make $200,000 selling cookies. You're doing excellent. And then on that third year, 2020 happens, where pandemic happens. You shut your doors and you can't do anything for the next 8 months. Then what? Do you have a plan for that? Because if not, you're going to be right back where you were beginning. Well, except for now, you owe more bills because you started a business. So make sure you have a plan, because what a plan will do, a plan will put you at least in the mindset of what to do next. And so when something happens, you're not so distraught, or you're not so like worn down because you're like, oh my God, I didn't plan for this. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. Versus, you know what? I planned for, I have a plan just in case this happens. All right, cool. This is what I know I need to do. And then you go from there. Right? That would be my goal that would be my advice to them. Have a plan. You need it, you need it, you need it. It don't matter. I don't care what you're doing. You need a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're going to fail. It's simple as that.
And just a small piggyback to that is, stay focused and put your all into it. Because if you half-ass it, you're not going to see any results. You're going to get as much as you put into it. So, and you may not see results right away. It may be months or even years down the line if it is a side hustle. But if there is a will, there is a way. And that's it. Like if that is your passion, people will see that and people will be drawn to that. So, yeah.
But I think it's Aza.
Asia.
There's nothing. Asia.
It's Asia.
Miss Morton.
Her name's Asia.
Asia. Okay. I'm just gonna say there's nothing wrong with starting a candy buffet business. Have you ever been to Candy Shack or It's Sugar? If you ever been to Katie Mills Mall, It's Sugar, where you walk in and the place is local candy. People love that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And even if you got to start it, you ain't got to do it the way I'm saying it. But even if you got to start by buying candy wholesale, you go to Sam's Club because you're like, oh man, it's really expensive. It's really expensive to start. Here's a cheap way of starting your candy buffet. Go to Sam's Club, buy wholesale, sell it retail, and resell. That's all the game is. You go to Sam's, you buy a pack of 36 Snickers for $8, and then you sell them for $1 each. That's $36. Boom. You've quadrupled your money, and then you do that over and over again. You do that over and over again, and you do that until you get to the spot where people know who you are, you know what you're doing, and then you do cute stuff with it. Throw a little raffle, Go to all of the events. Houston has 1,000 events where they need vendors to come out. You come out with your name, who you are, and what you're doing. You selling stuff. First thing people always want to eat, and they always want something to drink. Houston is hot. So they're going to always want something to drink, and they're going to always want something to eat, no matter what event it's at. Indoors, outdoors, if it's candy, everybody has a sweet tooth. You've seen the obesity rate, especially in Houston.
I'm dying. She's out here, but I understand.
It's true, obesity rate everywhere. They won't.
Obesity rate in Houston is crazy. Yeah.
So it's definitely do it. And I'm going to tell you right now, if it sucks because the people that should believe in you and that should support you from the very beginning, 90% of the time will not. And that's almost every story of every entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's
the people that were supposed to support you will not support you, right? A stranger will buy your product before a friend will.
Yeah,
and it's the sad truth to it, because a friend is going to feel like either one, you owe them something, or that should be me. You know what I'm saying? Why they selling candy?
Well, they have that idea.
Right? That's nothing. You don't need to do that. You need to do what I'm doing over here, which is nothing. Where the stranger, they don't know you, they don't know your history, they don't know you, so they're gonna be like, oh, you selling Snickers? Okay, shit, I want 2 of them. Let me get 2 Snickers and a Coke. Here go $4. And then they go on about their business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's tough because we would hope our families would be like, oh, you started a business? Man, look, let me come on out there. Let me help you out. But the first thing they want is what? Same thing we do when we go to every black business. Let me get a discount.
Right.
Let me get a discount. Oh, I'm black man. Let me get a discount. Come on.
Right. I would say to Asia, as far as the candy buffet, you know, even if it is you set up a table in your house, black tablecloth, put everything together, take some nice photos, maybe even invest in getting a photographer to take nice photos as if it is an event, and then use those photos to promote. And that's how you'll get events.
That's good.
Require a deposit. Use that deposit to get the candy you need to do that event and move forward.
Oh,
so it doesn't have to be an extremely expensive process. You can do it in your home and make it look professional, and people will think, oh, you were doing some huge baby shower event. Nah, that was my dining room table.
It'll cost you. This idea, and I'll let you steal it from me. I ain't gonna charge it for you. I'm gonna let you steal it from me. This idea might cost you $300. So if you get fined $300, put it to the side and use it. Go find you 6 containers. Go to the container store, clear containers. Buy you 6 different pieces of candy. Open the bag up, pour it inside of it. Find you 6 scoops, like you would at that It's Sugar, and dump them in there and take pictures of it as a stand, like Brittany just said, as a stand. And you do it that way. We do not have to reinvent the wheel. A lot of these places work because of the way that it is, and people like it that way. It's Sugar looks the same as the candy buffet store in North Carolina. It looks the same in North Carolina as it does in California. It looks the same because these people are like, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. People want to walk in, see their candy, and pick from it. Be able to take a scoop, dig inside of it, dump it in the bag, weigh it, move on. That's how they want. That's how they want to do it.
That's true.
That's what they want. People hate prepackaged candy. They don't. Not at a candy store where I feel like I want a big sugar rush. I don't want prepackaged candy,
and I want a variety in my bag all together. Absolutely.
Yeah. And take heart too that that there's more strangers than friends. So you can't even build a business off your friends.
Friends.
So even take courage in that, right? The fact that, hey, it's a lot more strangers. That's a lot more people for me to actually do business with too. So
yeah. And I don't like the word try. We don't try. Either we do or we don't. We have to. That's one of our biggest mindsets. We do it or we don't do it. Because every time I try to do something, I'm psychologically giving myself an excuse and a reason not to do it. People are lazy are naturally lazy. So if I say, I'm gonna try to get up in the morning and go to the gym, I'm gonna try, and then when tomorrow morning comes, I'm gonna find a reason not to go and say, hey, I tried, or you know what, I gotta go to the kids' school early in the morning because Isabella has a conference. Oh well, I tried, but this happened. I tried, but this happened. Nah, I'm gonna do it. Put it in your schedule. Even if it's just a little bit, even if it's 15 minutes out of your day. Hey, look, 15 minutes, I'm going to take this together. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And before you know it, as you get into the motion of it, you start to say, oh, I can do this for longer than 15 minutes. Oh, this is an hour. And now you're not trying anymore. You're doing it. But yeah, do it for Ryan's birthday.
Absolutely.
Come out to the candy event.
Will be 3 in 9 days. If you want to come out and take pictures at Ryan, we like candy.
There we
Honestly,
go.
we don't even have to touch it. If you just wanted to be there and you give the birthday boy a little candy and then you put all your stuff back in your car, that's fine.
I'm just trying to figure out why I wasn't invited to Snuggles' birthday party.
Opportunity
for another day.
Absolutely, Uncle Rich, you should have been. I didn't think you were trying to come out to Norfolk, but
I'm not.
Exactly. Exactly. But Lionel, before we go, if you can just drop where everyone can find you, your podcast, whatever you'd like to promote.
For sure. Definitely can find me on, YouTube and all streaming platforms, right? We're on Apple Music, Google, Amazon, Spotify, everywhere you listen to a podcast, right? Lion and the Lambo. That's Lion and the Lambo podcast. You also can reach me on Instagram at Lionel Mosby Jr. That's Lionel Mosby Jr. and hit me up there, right? If you want to just have more conversation about biblical entrepreneurship, looking to establish yourself, then definitely connect with me. Of course, if you're interested in moving to Houston, as a lot of people are, then also hit me up as well.
Do not come here. Take y'all ass to Dallas.
Unfortunately, people are moving to Dallas just as well as moving to Houston. The benefit right now, prices are slowing down, right? And so, really right now, buyers actually have a good pick of the litter, right? Whether you're talking about new build or resale homes. So if you're interested in getting down in Houston, a place where you got a lot more, bang for your buck, especially people out in New York, Cali, and everywhere else, definitely hit me up if you're interested. And I just say, to entrepreneurs out there, I just leave them with a short little, just a short couple words, right? We at the edge of the cliff. I see the fear in their eyes. We ain't friends if I don't tell you jump. And I ain't talking about suicide. At the edge of the cliff, I see the fear in their eyes. But we not friends if I don't tell you jump. I ain't talking about suicide. He like, what if I die? I'm like, what if you fly? All he see is brown dirt. All I see is blue skies. He like, what if I die? I'm like, what if you fly? He paralyzed in his mind. Relief comes after you dive. So I encourage y'all out there to dive, man. And, I know you're going to fly. So that's all I got.
Nice. That was very poetic, I feel.
I thought we was rapping for a little bit. I was like, Tupac said that,
huh? But this episode, just like every other episode, is brought to you by RDI Financial, our sponsor. Big homie looking out, keeping us going. You can't help broke people being broke.
Gang.
So hit up RDI-financial.com to get your credit fixed so you can then hit up Lionel and get you a house.
All he gonna do is send you to me.
It's a partnership.
You got the partnership going already.
But for all things Unapologetically Black, you can find us on all streaming services and platforms. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay unapologetically Black. Have a good night.
Gang.
See y'all later.